Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over my whole entire lifting journey over the past 2 years. I went from weighing 130 pounds and not even be able to do a pull-up to now weighing over 170 pounds. This is my 2-year lifting journey. First, let's start in the beginning of 2024. This is whenever I first started to work out. I was a freshman in high school and I couldn't even do a pull-up yet. I started by running and doing like calisthenics type stuff like push-ups and pull-ups. I also discovered how to track nutrition. Actually from my JROTC class. They were having a nutrition course in there and I downloaded MyFitnessPal after that. Also in this time at JROTC, I had some good friends at JROTC, which if you don't know what JROTC is, Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, and it's a military program within high schools, and I was in it for my freshman and my sophomore year. It didn't take long before I actually started to get more serious with the lifting and nutrition tracking stuff. After getting MyFitnessPal, I actually started a bulk, which is where you eat in an excess of calories in order to gain muscle and just gain weight. I started at 130 pounds, so I was pretty light, and I knew that I could probably gain some weight, and based on what my friends were telling me, I think that was probably the best choice. I looked up a couple videos on how to actually bulk, and I actually got some pretty good information from those. Definitely better than anyone who was like telling people to not gain weight or whatever, like some people say on the internet now. I don't think that's true. I think that everyone should like if you're light at the beginning, then you should try to gain weight to actually gain muscle. I started watching fitness people on YouTube such as Sam Sulek, Tom Beckles, and Mario Rios was also, actually Mario Rios is my first person I've ever watched that actually did fitness stuff. Also in this time, whenever I was working out at home, I did have some spare dumbbells that I would use to do some curls and do some just stuff with dumbbells. I think I just had a pair of 20s and a pair of 30s at my mom's house and 15s and 25s at my dad's. I didn't have a gym membership yet, but I did like every other weekend or so I would go to the rec center, just a church rec center next to my house. In the summer of 2024, I got my first barbell rack, and yes, this does mean that for the first few months that I was actually training, I didn't do barbell squat, bench, or deadlift at all. I started to do these movements, and my first working weight on bench was 95 pounds for 9 reps, and then on squat it was around the same, and deadlifts was 135 for 10. So that was kind of like my starting point of where my strength was. I also increased my pull-ups to around 10 at this time in the summer. I still ran, but in the summer I do mowing, and that was also another form of cardio that I was doing. By the summer I was 15 pounds up from the start of the year, and that's around the same body fat, so I'm pretty sure pretty much all that was muscle. At this time I was really trying to get better on form. I remember on squats, I was just trying to get better at form every single time I got in there. I hated not being able to squat properly, and after practice I got better at it, and now I have pretty good lifting technique. So I'm glad that I did that, and I'm glad that I'm not I didn't do what some of my friends do and skip squats and only do Bulgarian split squats, because I was doing pretty good at those at the time. I started tracking my lifts at this time in summer. Before I wasn't, but now I am, and I use Strong, which is an app on iPhone. Looking back on these workouts, I realized that I did a lot of volume compared to what I do now, and I remember I was pushing myself hard on each set, but I was just doing way too much in my opinion. I was doing 15 sets per body part per week on average. I was doing a back and hamstrings push and legs and bicep split, which I think is pretty interesting. I don't think that I could probably do that now, just because whenever my hamstrings are sore and I can't do squats, right? So I don't think I would be able to do that today. In fall of 2024, I got a 180 for 5 squat, $135 for 5 bench, and a 235 for 5 deadlift. The program I ran to actually get these numbers was obviously trying to keep form consistent and just adding 5 pounds whenever I could. And I kind of like just stalled out, and then once I couldn't really make that much progress week to week, then this is when I switched my workouts. And looking back at my workouts at this time, they seemed pretty inconsistent per workout. It looked like I was going into the gym being like, okay, I have 8 sets of chest to do, so I'm going to do 3 sets of bench, 3 sets of incline, 3 sets of flies, or just like random stuff like that, and not really having a structured plan like I do now in my workouts. And by the end of the year, I did weigh 150 pounds, so 20 pounds up from the beginning. After a year of training, I say I did pretty good coming up to this point. I wasn't really trying to get a best 1 rep max at all during this time. I didn't really even 1 rep max until January of this year, 2025. I don't have a video of it, but it was like January 1st or 2nd of 2025, I got a 155 pound bench press PR, and that was my 1 rep max. I think I tried 160 and I failed it. I did set some New Year's resolutions for the new year. 2 of them were to get a 315 squat and a 225 bench. I started to not care as much about deadlifts during this time. Actually, for the first 6 months of 2025, I didn't really do off the ground deadlifts at all. I only did Romanian deadlifts. I also wanted to gain 20 pounds in this year like I did the previous year in 2024. And this is when I actually started to follow a structured lifting routine where I went to the gym knowing what I should do every time and knowing what I can progress on. This allowed me to know what weights I did last time and to actually try to set PRs. I also started to record my workouts at this time. My program at this time was a 2 on 1 off upper lower split, where I just do upper lower rest repeat, and I was doing 3 sets of bench on the upper day, 3 sets of squats on the lower day, and for each of the sets I would do 1 top set of 3 to 5 reps and then 2 back off sets at 5 to 7 reps. And this worked extremely well. I'm actually made my best strength progress I probably ever made in my life. During this time, I went from a 155 pound bench at the beginning of the year to 2.5 months later, repping it out for 4. And at the beginning of the year, I was doing 190 for 3 on squat, and by 3 months later, I was doing 225 for 5 reps. And in this time, I only gained around 4 pounds, so a lot of that strength was with minimal weight gain. In this time, it felt so good to go into the gym and just be able to PR every single time, and that really motivated me to go to the gym again. But after this period, something tragic happened. In spring of 2025, I hit my first plateau, and it was on squat and bench. I got plateaued on bench for 3.5 months before hitting a new PR of 155 for 5 in late June. And on squat, I was actually plateaued for about 5 months until when I hit 240 for 5 in fall. I think I still gained muscle during this time because I still gained weight, but I just didn't really increase my lifts that much. At least not my squat or bench, but on pull-ups, I was actually getting stronger. I hit a PR of 18 reps in the summer of 2025. And in the summer, I actually started to go to Planet Fitness. I got one of the teen passes there for the summer, and then at the end of the summer I got a membership to Crunch. In late summer before school year, I was really sick of just being plateaued. I wanted to gain strength, and I wanted to gain 1 rep max strength, and I wanted to do more powerlifting type workouts. So that's when I started the SBD series on my YouTube channel. And this lifting, I would call it a training block. This is actually my first time doing periodization, which is where you just train different periods, or you just train different aspects of your goal at different times of the year. So this year, or in the SBD series, I was trying to do more strength. A little bit after that, I was doing more size, and then now I'm back onto more strength, but that's just what periodization is. And in the SBD workouts, I was doing lower reps with not as close to failure. So I was going to failure literally every single time I went to the gym, but for the SBD series, especially on squat and bench, well, not squat, but definitely bench. And now I'm not doing that. I was doing the least amount of sets I've ever done at this time, where I was doing 4 to 8 sets per muscle per week for the lifts that weren't squat, bench, and deadlift. And also I was doing deadlifts after 6 months of not doing them. In all, I made pretty good strength gains during this time, especially for my 1 rep maxes. Before the SBD series, I got 175 pound bench, and then after just like a month of doing it, I got up to 185 pound bench, and I attempted 190 a month later, 195, but I didn't get it, and my shoulder was feeling weird, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna call it off. And my squat got up to 275 pounds, and my deadlift up to 335. I was planning on going for 4 months of strength work, but my shoulder, after the second month, I did 3 times a week bench, which isn't really that bad to do that, but you have to manage your loading on each day. And I was kind of going a little bit too heavy on each day. I was doing 2 top sets on 2 of the days, and then on the other day I was still going close to failure with like 5 reps. So kind of hurt my shoulder a little bit during that time, and I just needed that to heal, so I stopped doing that. I called off the SBD series, and for 2 months after that, I did lighter training, like more like 8 to 12 reps, just trying to get my shoulder to feel better, and it feels way better now. I remember specifically on this set of pause bench, my shoulder just hurt, and by the end of the set, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna call it off, and I'm gonna call off the series. And all that leads me to where I am now, pretty much after the 2 months of more lighter training. Now I'm back into strength training, but I'm doing a different approach this time. I'm doing more sub-maximal work, which is where it's under 80% of your 1 rep max, and I'm actually going off of Matt Vena's recommendations for volume and intensity, leaving 3 to 6 reps in the tank for each set, at least for the working sets, and then doing a top set like every 1 to 2 times a week for these next for the next 2 months or so. And I also have some New Year's resolutions for this upcoming year. I want to hit a 225 bench, a 315 squat, same things from last year, but also a 405 deadlift, and I want to hit at around the same body weight as I am, maybe not right now, but a little bit heavier maybe. Wish me luck on this program, and wish me luck for the next year. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can go back on my whole lifting channel, like this channel, and you can see all the workouts that I did from pretty much the beginning of the year. Well, not all the workouts, but a lot of them, probably over 50. Jesus loves you. Bye.